The year is 1791. The president and his two cabinet members are seen entering the room of a small yet austere meeting house. Washington's attire is elegant yet reasonably enough to merit respect for his moderation. Before taking a seat, both Jefferson and Hamilton make humble salaams to Washington. The first president remains standing and gently tilts forward out of respect for the two intellectuals. His enlightenment and civilization is evident in his movements and gestures.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I want to begin this reunion by stating its purpose. As members of this cabinet, you will advise me on the best course of action regarding the welfare of our nation. It is in our best interest to seek a plan that is neither swayed by self-interest nor driven by personal animosities. My heart has a predilection for morality, but my mind has no propensity for either side of these arguments. Thus, I entrust you with my reputation as we discuss the interpretation of the Constitution and Mr. Hamilton's plan.
Jefferson and Hamilton turn to face each other almost instinctively. Their stares exhibit the tension that has come to exist between them.
If I may commence, Mr. President, we the Federalists believe that the Constitution grants the government a set of implied power, especially those that are necessary to implement the express power named in the Article of Confederation, Article 1 of the Constitution. For this reason, Congress is empowered to enact laws for the general welfare.
I ask that you do not associate yourself with a political party, Mr. Hamilton. Despite your partisanship, I find your premise to be valid. And what say you, Mr. Jefferson?
Mr. President, I side with the people of this nation before any party, and the people, sir, have chosen the Constitution to be the law of the land. With that in mind, I advise you to limit the federal government to powers explicitly granted to the Constitution.
Washington looks on as Hamilton prepares to refute Jefferson.
A loose interpretation of the Constitution is needed to resolve the problems that our nation currently contends with. The Constitution does not prohibit the government from migrating foreign debts. Certain implied rights need to be exercised, including the creation of a national bank.
That is preposterous. How will foreign debt be integrated by simply redistributing wealth from the South to the North? Not only would a national bank hurt the South, but also the Constitution does not authorize Congress to charter one. It is simply I can't say it. Hold on. Just stop it. We can.
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
resettle. Settle, please.
Alright.
Let us behave like civilized people. We are. It is my obligation to retain a moral character, and it should be important to my cabinet members as well. Communication is not facilitated by such superfluous remarks.
Both Jefferson and Hamilton regain their composure. They transition to their next topic of debate. Differences in opinions are inevitable, but they serve the purpose for which they are assembled. Possibility of compromise lingers as both cabinet members utter their final thoughts on Hamilton's system.
In conclusion, Mr. President, I find Hamilton's plan to promote principles adverse to liberty and calculated to undermine and abolish the Republic.
Our plan is simple, Mr. Jefferson, I assure you. There is no other purpose for its proposition other than to sustain the Republic through the accumulation of capital necessary for commercial and industrial growth. In no way does it seek to trust liberty, nor compromise the integrity of this Republic.
So you're saying that the creation of a monarchy does not threaten the Republic? Your plan protects only the wealth, and industrial development would merely add to this inequality.
I'm going to stop you there. Pardon the interruption, Mr. Jefferson, but are you insinuating that I'm a monarchist?
No, Mr. President.
At this point, a sneer has appeared on Hamilton's face in response to this circumstance.
I will not tolerate such allegations, Mr. Jefferson.
Understood, Mr. President.
You may continue.
I find a farm economy to be the best way to perpetuate this Republic.
I propose a compromise that would make the system more appealing to the Southern farmers. The southern states agree to the assumption of state debts, and I shall make sure the nation capital moves southward to the banks of the Potomac River after continuation.
What ensued was a compromise, which is that Washington had sought from this political division in the nation. In 1791, Congress approved full funding of the federal debt and the creation of the National Bank. However, opposition and enmity increased between Federalists led by Hamilton and Democratic Republican led by Jefferson. The year is now 1793, and George Washington has once again sought the advice of his Secretary of State, Jefferson, and Secretary of Treasury, Hamilton. This time, his concerns stem from having to decide whether or not to join the French Revolution.
Good evening, gentlemen. As a country still in the infancy of democracy, we as a nation must decide whether or not to support the revolution in France.
It is our duty as believers of democratic principles and the people's ability to rule themselves and not to be ruled by a monarchy. We must support the revolutionists. Were there but an Adam and Eve left in every country and left free, it would be better than it is now.
Freedom from a ruling monarch is a desired result in France. However, we must choose carefully how we support in this revolution. The commoners who are bringing about this revolution may be unable to see their cause there. We must tread lightly, as this could result in a greater revolutionary movement that could threaten other ruling monarchs who are our allies.